To download the revision guides which accompany these videos, head over to www.mrbruff.com.
Hello everybody and welcome to this video analysing Act 1 Scene 5 of William Shakespeare's Macbeth. Now, behind every great man, it is said, there is a great woman, and behind Macbeth, of course, is Lady Macbeth. Act 1 Scene 5 is the first glimpse the audience gets of the woman who knows Macbeth better than any other. Better, it almost seems, than he knows himself. Up until this point, we're shown Macbeth the soldier, the warrior, the public face of the great Thane, and in this scene we're introduced to the private side of Macbeth, the one that remains hidden from the other Thanes and noblemen of Scotland. Lady Macbeth is very clear on what needs to happen. She openly admits that despite her husband's ambition, he's incapable of acting dishonourably to get what he wants. She fears his, quote, nature, and believes him to have too much human kindness. Lady Macbeth's fear in this case is not fear of her husband or what he might do, it's the fear that he's incapable of killing Duncan, an act that would, of course, make her queen. And it all comes down to one of the major themes of the text, the theme of appearance versus reality, or confusion and opposites, which re-emerge in this scene. Lady Macbeth says that Macbeth is honourable and kind, and to her, just as to the witches, this is actually a bad thing. The witches say fair is foul and foul is fair, while Lady Macbeth scorns her husband's good qualities because she knows they're not going to make him the king. And the rest of this scene involves Lady Macbeth invoking evil spirits to help her to achieve her goals. Now, this needs to be understood in the context it was intended. For Shakespeare's audience, dedicating oneself to evil and calling on demonic spirits would have been very powerful. Lady Macbeth is crossing over to the dark side, and there is evidence to suggest that she has, in fact, become possessed. Later in the play, we see her sleepwalking, unable to sleep properly, and talking to herself. These are all symptoms Shakespeare's audience would have understood as being possessed by demons. Shakespeare also uses an interesting metaphor to extend the idea of things not being as they are. Towards the end of the scene, Lady Macbeth has decided that Duncan is to be murdered, and she proceeds to give her husband a lesson on hiding his true feelings and thoughts. She tells him he's giving the game away simply by his face. Your face, my Thane, is as a book where men may read strange matters, she says. And she advises him, in a very interesting line, to look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. Isn't Google an amazing thing? I just Google image search, serpent under flower, and up comes a really good picture. So here we have a metaphor of concealment, confusion, and hidden identity, and also another allusion to the animal imagery that Shakespeare employs earlier in the play. Finally, it's interesting to note Macbeth's response here. His wife has told him in no uncertain terms that Duncan is to be murdered, and all that he says in response is, "We will speak further." In other words, all right, that's enough of this conversation now, talk to the hand. Is this a man who's already decided what he's going to do, or is he simply trying to fob his wife off to not start an argument with her? Shakespeare's beginning to add extra dimensions and characteristics to Macbeth. We've now seen Macbeth the warrior, Macbeth the worrier, Macbeth the private man. His relationship with his wife is interesting because it shows us who's in charge. It's almost as if all the noblemen and all other characters in the play fear and respect Macbeth, while his wife looks down on him slightly. And this has important consequences for his character, as we'll see later in the course of the play.